700 people showed up just to hear a jail call. Not a concert, not a performance, a jail call. That's not fame, that's loyalty. And the man they came to hear? K-Flock, the Bronx drill rapper the system tried to erase. One day, he's charting with Cardi B. The next, he's sitting in a prison cell facing life. But what happened inside those walls shocked everyone, because the man K-Flock became in prison. No one saw that coming. They thought jail would break him. Instead, it made him stronger. K-Flock's name still echoes through the Bronx, and now, with his life on the line, the whole world's watching. December 16, 2025, one date that could decide everything. Freedom, or a life in a cell. And for Bronx drill star K-Flock, that day might rewrite hip-hop history forever. He went from chasing dreams to fighting for his life, all before turning 22. And even after 4 years behind bars, the streets still haven't forgotten his name, K-Flock. K-Flock's story is wild, the kind of rise and fall you'd think only happens in movies. One minute, the Bronx drill rapper is topping charts with Cardi B. The next, he's sitting in a prison cell, facing life behind bars. But what's happened to him since being locked up? That's what's got everyone talking. Because the person he's becoming inside, nobody saw that coming. The story of K-Flock, the rapper who refused to fade. When 700 people show up just to listen in on a jail call, that's not normal. That's loyalty. That's love. That's proof that, even behind bars, K-Flock still means something to people. He's not some washed-up rapper whose moment came and went. He's a name the streets refuse to let fade, even while the system seems determined to erase him. And today, we're breaking down the story that's got the Bronx drill scene and the whole hip-hop world watching closely. K-Flock's journey has been anything but ordinary. Born Kevin Perez, he grew up in the Bronx during a time when drill music was becoming more than just a sound, it was a movement. Chicago had Chief Keef, London had its own scene, but the Bronx? The Bronx had its own energy, louder, rawer, more personal. And K-Flock was right in the middle of it. He wasn't just rapping about the streets, he was living them. That's what made his music hit so hard. You could feel the truth in every bar. Then came Shake It, the track that changed everything. Featuring Cardi B, it didn't just put K-Flock on the map, it put Bronx drill on the map. Suddenly, this young kid from the projects was charting on Billboard, getting millions of streams and earning respect from both the streets and the industry. It was supposed to be the start of something huge, the next generation of New York rap. But before his story could reach its peak, everything flipped upside down. In December 2021, just as his career was blowing up, K-Flock was arrested and charged with first-degree murder after a fatal shooting in Harlem. The victim, Oscar Hernandez, became a name forever tied to his case. Overnight, a kid who had gone from the block to the Billboard charts found himself facing life behind bars. The reaction was instant. The internet exploded with debates. Was he innocent? Was it self-defense? Did fame make him careless, or did the system target him because of his music? The prosecution wanted to make an example out of him. They saw drill as dangerous, a genre that glorified violence. The defense argued he was just a young artist caught in a world that never stopped pulling him back. After months of court hearings and speculation, the verdict came, a shock to everyone. K-Flock was acquitted of the murder charge, but found guilty of attempted murder. Relief mixed with heartbreak. He'd escaped one life sentence, but the fight was far from over. Because behind the scenes, the federal government had been building something even bigger, a RICO case. The feds accused him and his crew, Sevside/DOA, of being part of a larger criminal organization. They pulled social media posts, phone records, videos, everything they could find. And when the feds come for you with racketeering charges, it's not about one crime. It's about your entire world. That's when the industry started to distance itself. Record labels that once fought to sign him suddenly went silent. Brands that once praised his authenticity stopped mentioning his name. But while corporate America backed away, the streets stayed locked in. To them, K-Flock wasn't a criminal, he was one of their own, another young man trying to make it out of impossible circumstances. And through all of it, through isolation, uncertainty, and years inside a cell, he still found a way to be heard. Videos of jail calls began surfacing on social media. One in particular, from March 2024, went viral. In it, K-Flock appeared during what looked like a live session, shirtless, muscular, dreadlocks hanging down his shoulders. He looked different. Older. Stronger. More grounded. It was clear that prison had changed him, physically and mentally. The once skinny teenager who used to hop around in music videos was now a grown man, shaped by time and struggle. But what shocked people most wasn't how he looked, it was how many people were watching. 700 viewers tuned in live to see him talk from prison. Think about that. For years locked up. No new music, no interviews. Yet hundreds of fans still waiting for a glimpse, still believing in him. That's not hype, that's impact. Behind those prison walls, K-Flock has been working on himself, staying fit, keeping his mind right, and trying to prepare for whatever comes next. Whether that's freedom or a long sentence, he's determined not to lose himself. He's grown up inside those walls, spending the years most people used to find themselves, 18 to 22, surrounded by bars, noise, and regret. But he's also found something else in there, perspective. The online community has been divided about his future. Some say he deserves another chance, that he's already paid enough. Others bring up the victim and argue he has to face the full consequences of his choices. Still, one thing everyone agrees on, his story has changed how people see drill music. It's forced the world to ask whether the line between art and real life has gotten too thin, and whether young artists can ever truly escape the environments they rap about. For now, all eyes are on December 16, 2025, the day that could decide everything. That's when the judge will decide whether Kevin Perez gets to rebuild his life or if K-Flock's story ends behind bars. No matter what happens, one thing's certain, this isn't just about one rapper. It's about the struggle between loyalty and survival, between art and reality, between dreaming of escape and getting trapped by where you came from. Because even behind bars, K-Flock's name still echoes through the Bronx. And that alone says something powerful, the story isn't over yet. So buckle up, because this one's got more twists than a New York backstreet. The rise, the fall, the transformation. Let's start with the noise online, jail call videos, fan theories, people debating his case like it's a courtroom on Instagram Live. But most of what's out there is speculation. So let's cut through the rumors and focus on what's real, how a kid from the Bronx went from chasing a dream to fighting for his freedom in less than 2 years. December 16, 2025. That's the date that could decide K-Flock's entire future. At just 22, the same artist who once had the industry and the streets in a chokehold will stand before a judge who might send him away for decades, or the rest of his life. But to understand that moment, we've got to rewind. Before the fame, before the headlines, there was Kevin Perez, a hungry kid from the Bronx trying to make it out. Back then, drill music was exploding. Chicago had Chief Keef. The UK had its own wave. But New York? The Bronx was building something rawer, louder, grittier, more personal. And K-Flock became the face of it. His breakout hit, Shake It with Cardi B, wasn't just another track. It was the track. A record that put Bronx drill on the map and made the world pay attention. For the first time, someone from his neighborhood was on the Billboard Hot 100 and doing it alongside one of the biggest artists alive. The song exploded, millions of streams, non-stop radio play, and every label in the game trying to sign him. It looked like the start of something huge. But fame doesn't erase the past, and for K-Flock, the streets were never just part of the image. They were his reality. See, the thing about Bronx drill is that it's not built on fiction. These rappers aren't just telling stories, they're living them. And K-Flock's bars came straight from experience. He was part of the Southside/DOA crew, and that wasn't some stage persona. That was his real circle, real friends, real beef, real danger. Then came December 2021, the night that changed everything. K-Flock was only 18 when a confrontation in Harlem ended in tragedy. A man named Oscar Hernandez was shot and killed. Soon after, K-Flock was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Think about that. 1 year, he's celebrating a Billboard hit. The next, he's facing a charge that could end his life as he knows it. The reaction was instant. The internet went crazy. Some said he was innocent, maybe even set up. Others said he'd thrown away everything, that he should have left the streets behind when the fame came knocking. The truth, though, is more complicated. Prosecutors didn't just want to convict K-Flock, they wanted to make an example out of him. To them, he symbolized everything wrong with drill music, violence, gangs, and the way real-life beef gets turned into lyrics that millions of kids sing along to. Now, as his trial date approaches, K-Flock's future hangs in the balance. Whether he walks free or spends his life behind bars, one thing's for sure, his story has already left its mark. It's a reminder of how fast fame can flip and how hard it is to leave the streets when they're the very thing that made you. The trial that changed everything. They wanted K-Flock gone for good. The prosecutors came in hard, confident that the young Bronx rapper story would end behind bars. But when the trial finally wrapped up, things didn't play out the way most people expected. After all the witnesses, the evidence, and the endless courtroom back and forth, the judge delivered a twist no one saw coming. K-Flock was found not guilty of first-degree murder. That shocked everyone. For months, people had already written him off, certain he was done. But beating the murder charge didn't mean freedom. Because while K-Flock walked away from one fight, another one was waiting right behind it. The bigger battle. See, the court still hit him with an attempted murder conviction, and that alone can carry serious time. But even that wasn't the biggest problem. Behind the scenes, the federal government had been watching, quietly collecting evidence, tapping phones, studying social media, and connecting dots. They weren't just focused on one shooting or one night in Harlem. They were going after the entire network around him. That's when K-Flock's name got pulled into something much larger. A federal racketeering case tied to the Sevside/DOA crew. What RICO really means. Now, for anyone who doesn't get how the feds work under RICO laws, here's the deal. When they charge you with racketeering, they're not saying you did one crime. They're saying you're part of a criminal enterprise. Every act your crew commits, every phone call, every post, every word in a lyric can become part of the case. It's like they build a giant web, and once you're caught in it, escaping is nearly impossible. And the feds had receipts, phone records, surveillance, witness statements, social media posts. They'd been tracking everything, piece by piece, for years. When they finally move in, it's not a guessing game. It's a full-blown takedown. The fallout. That's when the industry started to panic. Record labels that once threw millions at K-Flock suddenly went silent. The same people who were calling him the future of Bronx drill now wanted nothing to do with him. And it didn't stop there. Other young drill rappers started realizing how real the danger was. The message from the feds was loud and clear. They're not just going after the shooters. They're coming for the culture. The sentence that could define his life. Now, K-Flock, real name Kevin Perez, stands at a crossroads. Between the attempted murder conviction and the federal racketeering charges, he's facing anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. Let that sink in. He's just 22 years old. That means the earliest he could walk out a free man would be in his 30s. Worst case, he might never walk out at all. December 16, 2025. That's the day the judge will decide everything, whether Kevin Perez gets a second shot at life or spends the rest of it behind bars. Here's the wild part. K-Flock has already spent almost 4 years behind bars, just waiting for his fate to be decided. For long years of uncertainty. But what's surprising is how he's handled it. You'd think with that much time locked up, his name would have faded, the hype would have died down. But nah, it's the opposite. Even from inside prison walls, K-Flock has managed to keep his presence alive. His fans still check for him, still talk about him, and still hope he somehow beats the odds. The viral jail call. Every now and then, clips from his jail calls pop up on social media. Through those moments, fans get a glimpse of what his life is like on the inside, and what they've seen has people talking. Back in March 2024, a clip went viral of K-Flock during what looked like a live jail call session. And fam, he looked different. Gone was the skinny 18-year-old kid who got arrested in 2021. The man on that screen was built, muscular, confident, and calm. His time inside had clearly changed him physically. His shoulders were broader, his face looked older, and his dreadlocks now hung down to his shoulders. It wasn't just a new look, it was a transformation. And the craziest part? Nearly 700 people tuned in just to watch that call. 700. Think about that. This man hasn't dropped a single new song in years, yet hundreds of fans still showed up just to see him talk from behind bars. That's influence. That's respect. That's someone the streets refuse to forget. A different kind of growth. According to people close to him, K-Flock has been using his time inside to focus, mentally and physically. He's been working out, staying sharp, and trying to prepare for whatever comes next. Whether that means getting out one day or adjusting to a life sentence, he's been working on himself. Some people get bitter in prison. Others break. But from what we've seen, K-Flock seems somewhere in the middle, learning, maturing, and figuring himself out. He's literally grown up in prison, going from a teenager to a man. Those are the years when most people are discovering who they are. He's doing it surrounded by steel bars and concrete walls. The debate. Meanwhile, the streets and the internet are watching closely. On Reddit, YouTube, Instagram, and every corner of social media, People are debating his story. Some believe he deserves another chance. They point out that he's already spent nearly 4 years locked up and hope the judge counts that time toward his sentence. If he gets the minimum 10 years, that could mean only 6 more to go before he's free again. But not everyone sees it that way. Others bring up Oscar Hernandez, the man who lost his life. They argue that no matter how famous K-Flock is, actions have consequences. They say drill music glorifies violence, and that what happened was a reflection of that world, a world that blurs the line between art and real life. A wake-up call for drill music. Beyond K-Flock's case, there's a bigger conversation happening, one about drill music itself. Rappers from the Bronx to Brooklyn are paying attention. They're seeing what happens when you don't separate the music from the streets, when you try to keep one foot in fame and the other in the same chaos you came from. For some, K-Flock's situation isn't just a tragedy, it's a warning. Because as much as drill gave him a way out, it also pulled him right back in. Countdown to sentencing. Now, all eyes are on December 16, 2025, the day that could decide everything. The industry, the fans, the critics, everyone's waiting to see what the judge does. Will they show compassion, acknowledging how young he was when it all went down and the 4 years he's already spent behind bars? Or will they make an example out of him, using his sentence as a warning to every young drill rapper out there that the streets and the spotlight can't coexist? The prosecution is expected to come in heavy. They'll highlight his gang ties, his lyrics, his influence on young people, painting him as someone who used music to glorify violence. Meanwhile, the defense will argue the opposite, that K-Flock has grown, matured, and changed. They'll talk about his time inside, his discipline, his efforts to stay focused and out of trouble. They'll remind the judge that he was acquitted of the most serious charge and that 10 years is already a massive part of any young man's life. But when it's all said and done, it comes down to one person, one judge, deciding whether Kevin Perez gets a second chance at life, or whether K-Flock becomes another name on the long list of artists lost to the system. The legacy question. And that's where the bigger conversation begins. What will K-Flock's legacy really be? If he gets out in a decade, will people still care? Will the music industry welcome him back? Or will he return to a world that's already moved on? Maybe he'll come home stronger, wiser, ready to tell his story through his music. Or maybe he'll choose a completely new path. No one knows yet. But what's clear is that he's already changed physically, mentally, emotionally. He's grown up behind bars, and that transformation shows a man trying to prepare for whatever comes next. A bigger reflection. K-Flock's story isn't just about one artist or one crime. It's about something deeper, the constant tug-of-war between street culture and success, between authenticity and survival. It's about how young men from tough environments navigate fame while carrying the weight of where they came from. And as the countdown to December 16th continues, the real question isn't just what happens to K-Flock, it's what his story teaches us about the culture, the system, and the way we treat young artists who come from struggle. Because no matter what the judge decides, K-Flock has already paid a price that no sentence can measure. For years of youth gone, a career frozen, a life forever changed. Whether he walks free or spends more years inside, this story has already made its mark on the Bronx, on drill music, and on the conversation about how art and the streets collide. So what do you think? Does K-Flock deserve a second chance? Should the industry keep supporting drill rappers with real-life ties to the streets? Drop your thoughts below, because one thing's for sure, December 16th is coming, and whatever happens that day will shake the entire drill scene to its core.